The next morning, all 5 women meet at the edge of the forest for the daily run. It was a Saturday, so Elisabeth and Violet were free from their schooling expectations. HANNA and Violet stretched and talked amongst themselves, eager to begin. Elisabeth, usually groggy and fickle in the mornings, greeted the others with a smile today.
Welcome to training, Cornelia.
What's the matter with you?
What do you mean? Can't I say good morning?
You sound unusually chipper.
It's a beautiful day and I'm excited to train.
Sounds like you're mostly pleased to not be at the back of the pack for once.
Perhaps she won't be the only one who vomits at the end today. Elisabeth rolled her eyes as Violet and Iris laughed. Even the corners of Hannah's mouth upturned slightly. Cornelia's face was sullen.
It's really not so bad. I'm just not used to it yet. You'll be fine.
Cornelia nodded and hugged her arms around her body. She still hadn't returned to her house, so she wore poorly fitting borrowed clothes from Iris. The girls huddled up and Iris laid out the plan for the day. First, we run. The full 5 laps. No stopping. Then, we'll be splitting up for the day. Hannah and Elisabeth, I want you to go to the university. I expect each of you to return with 2 dates. Meanwhile, Violet and I will take our newest recruit for her test.
What's the test?
You'll find out when Cornelia does. Iris doesn't wait a second longer before sprinting off down the forest path, into the fog. Hannah throws herself after her, with Violet hot on her heels. Elisabeth shakes her head and starts to trot forward until she realises Cornelia still hasn't moved.
Cornelia? You coming?
I can't do this.
What?
I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not cut out for this. I can't do what all of you do.
Cornelia, did you not hear anything we just said? I barely make our morning runs, and I've been doing them for weeks now. We're all here because we have different strengths, including you.
I'll fail this test.
You don't even know what it is yet.
It doesn't matter. I can't even think straight. I don't feel like myself. It's like I'm not even on the same earth as the rest of you. Even now I'm talking to you, but it feels like there's this veil between us. It takes ages for your voice to reach my ears, for me to tell my mouth to respond.
But you're still trying. You're here, Cornelia. Iris knows that, and she knows what happened to you. You just need to prove to her that you want to be here.
And that you can trust me.
That too. Come on, let's run.
Elisabeth starts down the path again, and a few moments later, the soft sound of Cornelia's footsteps emerges behind her, and she didn't stop. After the run, both Elisabeth and Cornelia hurled up their breakfasts, but everyone finished. The moment they'd all completed the run, Iris was back to business. She dismissed Elisabeth and Hannah to the university, and then told Violet and Elisabeth to follow her through the country roads. They rode their bicycles in silence, and Cornelia's mind raced with fears of what her test would be. She thought about turning around and riding away nearly 5 times, but the memory of Wolfgang's face, his pleasure in her pain, made her stay the course. Eventually, Iris pulled off to the side of the dusty tree-lined road, with Violet and Cornelia following behind. This road is so thickly lined with trees that it creates a cushion of sound. The sly pass-through, only open to bicycles and pedestrians, is also conveniently located just over there.
All right, so what am I meant to do?
Violet is going to use her womanly charms to lure a Nazi soldier to the sly, where you will be waiting to shoot and kill him. Iris hands Cornelia a loaded pistol.
And that's all?
You want more than that?
No. I just want to make sure I meet all your requirements.
Kill a Nazi. That's all I ask of you. But there is one more thing for Violet. If Cornelia fails to kill the soldier, you must kill them both.
Understood.
Good. I'll be watching, so don't get any ideas. Make me proud. Iris nodded at them, then casually walked through the sly pass-through. The yellows, oranges, and browns of the winding arch above her made her red hair shine. Cornelia looks at Violet with a grim determination.
Anything I should know?
Don't hesitate, because the Nazis don't, and I won't either if you screw this up. Iris means exactly what she says. So if you want to back out, now is your last chance. She'll be back in about an hour.
Hour? Where are you going?
I'm sure I'll find a bored soldier somewhere closer to town. I have to convince him to come with me first, you know.
Oh, right.
Control your breathing. You'll be fine.
To Cornelia, an hour had never passed so slowly. The light ticks of her pocket watch, marking the seconds, were like drumbeats in her mind. Finally, she hears a crunching of leaves and Violet's voice right outside the entrance.
Oh, Gunther, I must admit, I don't normally do this, but I can't control myself around you.
Violet rounds the corner, locked in a kiss with the Nazi soldier. His eyes were closed, but hers were wide open. Cornelia raises her gun as Violet and the soldier take a few steps into the covered walkway. A seed of panic rises in Cornelia's gut. They were too close, too entwined. If she fired now, with her lack of experience, she had just as much a chance of hitting Violet as she did the Nazi. But suddenly, Violet pushes the soldier away from her and towards Cornelia.
No!
The soldier's eyes open, but all Cornelia could see was Wolfgang's sick smile as she exhaled and pulled the trigger. Elisabeth and HANNA sit on a bench in a university courtyard. Young men walk by in all directions.
What are we doing here, Elisabeth?
From what Iris described, it sounds like we're on a mission to be sexy.
Elisabeth puckers her lips and flips her hair extravagantly. HANNA giggles.
Iris said we need to get comfortable making these men want to be comfortable with us.
HANNA puts on an impression of Iris.
Because our sex appeal is our superweapon.
They get close to us and we just happen to slide in the knife. Easy peasy.
God, there is something wrong with us.
No, there's nothing wrong with us. There is something wrong with the world. HANNA, look. He's cute. Do it.
Do what?
Seduce him. Get him to ask you on a date.
All right, watch this.
HANNA transforms her normally serious expression into a ridiculous, forced smile. She stands and steps straight into the path of a young man walking to class.
Hello, where are you going? Would you like to talk to me?
The young man looks frightened and excuses himself, speed-walking away from her. HANNA turns back to Elisabeth with a shocked look of rejection as Elisabeth cackles loudly.
You are truly horrible at this.
All right then, you do it.
I will. Pardon me?
HANNA rolls her eyes and sits down on the bench with crossed arms. Elisabeth picks out a man and drops her bag as he approaches. He bends down to pick it up.
Thank you so much. I'm so clumsy.
No problem whatsoever. My name's Helmut.
HANNA, are you in a hurry? I have some questions about the university and wanted to ask someone who looked smart.
Of course. Here, let's sit.
HANNA gets up to watch as Elisabeth and Helmut sit down and start to chat. Elisabeth angles herself even closer to Helmut. Elisabeth slowly takes a pencil out of her bag and holds it like a knife. She looks back at HANNA as she pokes Helmut in the neck, hard. He yelps and leaps up from the bench, clutching his neck. A small bead of blood dribbles out.
Ow! Oh!
Oh my goodness, Helmut.
HANNA! Why did you do that?
I don't know what happened.
What's wrong with you?
Nothing, Helmut. Nothing is wrong with me.
Helmut, angry and confused, storms away, still holding his neck. HANNA rushes over as Elisabeth stares after the boy, a stunned expression on her face.
Are you all right?
No, I don't know. Let's find another spot.
Five men sit in a leather-wrapped smoking room, sipping brandy and puffing on cigars. General Wolfgang presides over his men with ease, as Mark Guterman scurries about refilling glasses and exchanging ashtrays. To the general's right sits the ever-present Anthony Stromberg, followed by Stefan, Klaus and Christoph, all three in their SS uniforms, though they were better known for being friends to Wolf than their military prowess.
All I know is I don't envy General Rommel.
The second he's recovered, his ass will be right back in the African sand.
Well, they don't call him the Desert Fox for nothing, boys.
Say, Christoph, have any of your men caught wind of that red-haired girl again?
Looking for a new conquest class.
With a wicked dame like this one, not unless I have her then kill her.
Well, there have been rumors about a woman seducing our boys just to kill them off.
Like a red-headed angel of death.
I did receive a report from Inspector Wagner's the other day regarding a potential killer on the loose. But he didn't mention anything about it being a dame.
See, boys? She's real.
There's been no evidence. It's nothing more than a myth.
Perhaps that's exactly what she wants you to believe. There are snakes everywhere these days.
Real or not, she poses no true threat to the Reich. If she's real, she's just a fly. Eventually, someone will swat her.
Well said, Stefan. What say you, Anthony?
Never trust a redhead.
Anthony was dead serious, the brute. but his counterparts burst out laughing.
Hey, here.
Fritz jumps at the sound of the door chimes as he enters a small shoe store in the bustling city centre. A man inspecting a pair of shoes looks at him with concern.
All right, Father?
Apologies. The chimes startled me.
The man nods and exits the shop. Fritz looks around. The store seems to be oddly empty. He dings the bell by the register.
Come in.
An older woman with a stocky frame and hearty constitution makes her way to the register from the storeroom door in the back of the shop. She carries a large stack of shoe boxes, piled so high that her face is obscured. As she sets them on the register counter, her smile quickly drops at the sight of Fritz. This is Fritz's contact, the very same woman he met at the U-Bahn station with Alistair.
What is it you need?
Good afternoon, Annette. Can a man of the cloth not come to tend to the Lord's flock and peruse a new pair of shoes?
Immune to Fritz's charm, Annette sets her jaw and busies herself with returning the shoe boxes to their respective shelves around the store.
Your shoes look like they're in fine condition to me, Father.
You might be right about that. It's the flock that's of most concern.
Not sure what help I'd be with that, sadly. But do let me know if you'd like to purchase any shoes.
The woman beelines for the back of the shop and the safety of the storeroom, but Fritz reaches out and grabs her hand. She turns in surprise.
I know you saw me the other night, Annette, when they wouldn't let me in the meeting.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Of course not. But Sparrow, did they mention anything about Sparrow?
Annette shoots him an angry look and tugs her arm away, resuming her walk.
Annette, please. No one will know we spoke.
You need to leave.
Please. I just need to know if she's safe. Alive.
Something about his tone, his sad eyes, softens the harsh exterior of the woman. Looking very much like she already regrets it, she waves him closer and drops her voice to a whisper.
They didn't say much. That she's away for work, but...
What?
Celine and Alistair were on edge. Unusually so.
How so?
As though perhaps they don't know where she is.
You think she was compromised?
I don't know.
Thank you, Annette.
I know she's your aunt, but don't try and go back there, Father. You won't come out.
Take care.
He tightens his coat snugly around him and gives the woman a nod before stepping out into the chill autumn day. The 5 young women sit clustered in the cellar under the bar as the sound of the radio floats over them. HANNA listens intently while Cornelia reads, both on the couch. Iris leans against the back of the couch, one eye on the door, as she lazily throws knives at a makeshift target on the wall. Violette and Elisabeth sit at the desk, huddled over a piece of paper. They mutter quietly to one another as Elisabeth scribbles notes down.
Amongst the preparation for his birthday celebrations, the General Wolfgang is hard at work. He intends to provide support for the Gestapo's diligent efforts to ensure the implementation of a complete solution of the Jewish question.
He would consider that part of a celebration.
Disgusting pig. Patience. He'll get what he deserves. Elisabeth and Violet stand from the desk.
Iris?
Iris is still throwing her knives. Yes?
Can we have a word?
We wanted to go over some thoughts we had about where where our mother could be.
Let's hear it.
The way we see it, there are only a few possibilities where she could be. It's been nearly 4 weeks.
29 days.
29 days since she disappeared. There was no sign of disruption at our house, so I don't think she was captured or taken. But maybe she caught wind of the letter early and went into hiding.
Or went to intercept the letter at a different location.
Or even was sent on a mission to take care of whoever sent the letter in the first place.
If the Nazis do have her, then either she's being held for questioning, they've sent her to a camp, or...
A pregnant pause. Elizabeth's mouth is open, but no sound comes out. Iris raises her brows. Still nothing. Violet jumps in.
She's already dead.
What do you think?
That's more than a few possibilities, ladies, and very few concrete threads to follow. You pretty much covered the general guesswork, but there's not much more we can do besides what we're already planning to. Get close to the Nazis who might actually have some intelligence for us.
What about this?
Elizabeth slides a slip of paper with all the oddly capitalized words and list of capital letters from the coded message written in order across the table to Iris. What's this? A list of letters and your shopping list? What about it?
The night in the woods, we managed to take all the letters from the guardhouse. These here are from the one we were warned about, the letter that supposedly had information about Mama.
The letter itself was all random and jumbled, with capital letters misplaced here and there, so we figured they might mean something. We know that Conrad was once an Impressionist. Have you ever used a code like this?
No, I have no idea. The coded messages I was instructed to send use a numerical system, not letters. The girl's faces fall once again. Iris clucks her tongue at them, chins up. We've got an Impressionist intelligence meeting here tomorrow. You girls need to make yourselves scarce, but I'll see if anyone's heard from her.
Really?
No promises, but I'll ask. Besides, it's about time we go out and dig for a few answers of our own. Tracking our target's daily movement is our task for the next few days. In between sets at the hidden swing club in the bar, the crowd buzzes with excitement and drunken chatter. The club's girls make the rounds, some passing drinks, others wiggling onto laps of soldiers, and more still pulling men into private corners and rooms for a rendezvous. Hugo chuckles as he tips back a shot at the table. A few soldiers clap him on the back or yell his name in greeting from across the room as he makes his way backstage. He nods back, stone-faced, but internally pleased to see the men continue to fund his life. In the dressing room, Iris's nose is buried in a stack of files. The wrapped gift box Inspector Muller gave her ripped open on her vanity. She intently combs through the photographs and information. Hugo leans against the wall next to her.
Iris.
Her gaze remains on her work. Hugo snatches the file away from her. She shoots him a look, but turns to listen.
Who were those girls that came looking for you the other day?
Oh, no one. File, please. He doesn't hand it over.
Nah. They said you were friends.
I don't have friends.
That's what I told them. But they knew you.
Oh, well, they wanted to dance at the club. I told them they weren't ready, but if they work hard, I might reconsider.
Iris. They knew about the cellar.
She looks at him for a long moment. Her old friend. We need to make bigger moves. With the Impressionists.
You've already tried. They're against it. They've made that clear.
Easy? I don't mean right this moment. But all signs point to Sparrow being gone, perhaps for good, so...
What are you planning? Eh?
I just think it couldn't hurt to have a few extra girls on hand in the club to collect intelligence. Knowledge is power, and I want to make sure we're ready to plant the seeds to turn things around with the Impressionists.
I know there's more to it, Iris.
Fine. I'm training them in the way that all our operatives should be trained. To kill the Nazis. As many as we can without being detected. And our first mission will be so powerful, so valuable to our efforts, that the Impressionists won't be able to refuse the effectiveness of my ways any longer. It'll get Zed's attention.
Right. Yeah. But we still don't know where Sparrow is. She could return. What happens then?
Then we'll have the proof we need to convince her too.
Be careful, Iris. These girls are untested and you don't work well in groups.
I'll be fine, Hugo. I always am. Now, let's go make more money. She gives his shoulder a squeeze as she makes her way to the wings of the stage. Fritz kneels alone in the clergy house's small private chapel, his sleeves once again pushed back, the patchwork of small scars revealed only to the full moon glowing through the window above him. He squeezes his eyes shut and tries to shake the intrusive thoughts from his mind. He raises his small pocket knife, prepared to cut, when suddenly...
Please, don't.
Karl stands a few feet behind Fritz, candle in hand. Fritz pauses but doesn't turn to face him.
Put the knife down, Fritz. There's no need for that.
I have to.
No, you don't. You were made perfect in the Lord's image, as was I.
Karl takes a few steps forward, closing the gap between them. He reaches out a hand and pauses, almost pulls it back, before placing it gently on Fritz's shoulder.
I don't think the Lord will appreciate you desecrating his image. Do you?
Karl kneels next to Fritz and takes the knife from his hand.
You really believe that?
I do.
Karl shifts closer. Shoulder touches shoulder, knee touches knee. It's like a line of electricity down the side of Fritz's body.
I'm sorry for what happened between us. I should never have.
No. I'm glad it happened. You had the courage to do what I haven't been able to stop thinking about since the day I met you.
Noses are only inches apart now. Their voices drop to a whisper. All Fritz can think about is feeling the warmth of Karl's lips again.
Really? You're not against it?
The way we care for one another. The way you make me feel. How could I be against that? How could God?
That was the only permission Fritz needed. He wraps Karl in his arms, feels his smile melt into a deep kiss, longing underlying every touch. Karl pulls him to his feet, still locked in a kiss, as he leads him to the hidden alcove to the side of the altar, in the shadows. A great lion roars, as though reminding the patrons of the zoo how different things might be were he uncaged. Violet watches the lion, entranced. Mark Guterman, dashing in his uniform, approaches.
Beauty and Beast.
Violet doesn't turn to look at him. He follows her gaze to the lions.
Funny how unafraid I am from here. If I were in there, I'd be terrified.
Yes, a lion's den is no place for a girl.
Would you be afraid?
Afraid? No, fear's poison.
He looks around, takes his pistol from its holster, and places it in her hands with his hands.
There. You feel safe now?
She pulls away, leaving the weapon in his hands.
Goodness, no. I'm more afraid of that. I've never held one before.
Last time I saw you, you were still a child. Things have certainly changed.
Your mother was very keen on our meeting.
Insistent is a better word, but I must admit, I think she was onto something.
Violet blushes and begins to stroll along the animal enclosures. Mark follows her with a grin. The pair circle the zoo twice, laughing and talking together. To Violet's utter dismay, she finds that, much like his looks, she actually enjoys Mark's company. He was friends with all the zookeepers and shared many facts about the animals before asking Violet about her hobbies and interests with genuine intrigue. They'd been walking for an hour now, and he still hadn't revealed any useful information about Wolfgang. She couldn't demand answers outright without raising suspicion. Perhaps it was time to put his attraction to her to the test.
I'm afraid I must go, Mark.
I would like to see you again. Would you do the honour of accompanying me to an official function?
Oh, that sounds, well, boring.
Trust me, it won't be. General Wolfgang is throwing a party for his birthday. You won't want to miss it.
The General? That does sound exciting.
Well, there will be a parade, a gala, followed by a more intimate gathering at the General's home.
And you're invited. I didn't realise you were so important, Mark.
Important? No. But I work directly with the General. He'd be impressed to see me with such a beautiful woman.
Ah, well, how could I say no to that?
Wonderful. It's a date then. I'll be in touch with the details.
Mark comes to attention and gives a slight bow and kisses her hand.
It's been a true pleasure, Violet. I do.
He turns and walks away. Violet watches him go with a giddy look on her face, revelling in the feeling of being wanted for the first time. She only allowed the butterflies to flutter in her stomach for a few brief moments before reality crept back in, and she mentally pinned the wings of the butterflies together with knives, just like Iris had taught her. Time to report back to the group. Bells on the shop door jingle as Iris, HANNA and Cornelia step onto the street, shopping bags in hand. A man sprints past them. Jesus, no! Iris whips out a hand to pull Cornelia back, narrowly avoiding being run over by the frantic man. More people run down the street past them, towards the city centre.
What's happening over there?
HANNA immediately starts walking towards the commotion, and the other women follow. A huge crowd is gathered around a makeshift stage, where General Wolfgang stands proudly, flanked by Stefan and Anthony. Mpho police officers line the front of the stage to maintain the crowd.
As some of you may have heard, while I meant to be here on leave, I can't rest knowing that our city is still infected with this disease. With the vermin who threaten the purity, the future of our beloved homeland.
Cornelia, take HANNA back to the flat. I'll follow once I see what this is about.
No.
You shouldn't be here.
HANNA, let's go.
No.
I want to remember this. Besides, this could be useful information.
My birthday celebrations are coming soon, and in honor of the occasion, I'd like to offer you all a gift. Any citizen who supports our efforts today to identify and relocate the remaining Jews in the city will be awarded 5 Reichsmarks.
The crowd cheers with joy. Wolf waves and smiles back at them. Stefan steps forward.
Men will be stationed at checkpoints at the train station, as well as on all major crossroads with transportation trucks. Reichsmarks will be awarded upon the deposit and confirmation of the subjects in question.
The crowd surges forward. In the middle of the crowd, a fight breaks out between 2 men. Some people immediately head towards the officers stationed by the stage, prepared to inform. HANNA doesn't move, doesn't even blink as she takes in the scene. Now we all need to go. They're turning into animals, come on. Cornelia grabs one of HANNA's hands and Iris grabs the other. They start to walk away when suddenly a man who is looking over his shoulder slams into HANNA as he runs. She falls to the floor.
Watch where you're going, bitch!
Are you all right?
Cornelia and Iris pull HANNA to her feet. They link arms.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
We're going to calmly walk to the bar. Yes? Heads down, back streets. Deep breaths. Iris squeezes HANNA's hand and sets off, away from the mob. Later that night, Iris's cellar is filled with about 10 Impressionist members. Amongst them is Fritz's contact Alistair, Trigger, Patch, and of course, Hugo. Celine, a slim but strong woman with a slicked-back short bob and dark eyes, sits in a chair at the centre of the room. The others are a ragtag variety of ages and appearances, no two alike. Like the meeting at the warehouse, the members find seats wherever they're able. Couch, desk chair, some sprawl on the floor. They chat very softly with one another. Iris's board of targets and notes is nowhere to be seen. Iris walks in from the cellar door and leans against a bookshelf in the corner, watching every move made in her den. She jiggles her knee impatiently as she glances towards the door. Just waiting on Sparrow, then?
No, we can begin.
Not like her to miss so many meetings.
She's occupied.
Clearly.
With Impressionist work?
No shit. What is she doing?
Activities you're not clear to know about.
The 2 women glare at one another. Alistair clears his throat and interjects before they can get more heated.
What's your report, Iris?
Iris steps into the centre of the room. Not much to report that you all haven't already heard. We were completely out of the loop on the General's last-minute roundup, so naturally, they found the people they were looking for. The boys at the club have been celebrating their victory. Not a one of them let slip any intel on whether any other Jews are still suspected of being in hiding.
I dialed myself back from shooting a few of those Nazi bastards myself today.
I agree. I think it's about time we took a more offensive approach. We've been lurking in the shadows all this time. And to what end? Today was proof that we haven't even slowed them down.
They'd squash us like insects.
I'm not.
We don't have the numbers to expose ourselves, Iris. You know that.
Let her talk, Alistair.
I thought the 3 of us could have some fun on the Gestapo building in broad daylight. But after what happened today, you can't sit here and pretend like there isn't more we could do. Hundreds of people were sent to slaughter today. Would it not make a more lasting impact, help more people, to actually get rid of the bastards? The room is quiet for a moment as Iris stares each person in the eyes.
He has a point.
Point or not, that's not what our current objective is. We stick to our missions unless told otherwise.
Under whose authority, Celine? Sparrow isn't here, and I, for one, think she'd actually agree with me.
Agreed.
What are your thoughts, Hugo?
We can't hide forever. The only way to fight fire is with fire. Well, strategized, of course.
Well, strategized or not, we don't make any moves unless authorized. Maintaining secrecy is of the utmost importance right now, even more than usual.
Why is that?
Sparrow's orders. Our priorities are to continue to collect intelligence and lay low.
But
those were the orders. We look forward to your next report.
Alistair makes a note in his book, then turns to another man sitting on the floor.
Bremen, your findings?
Iris retires to her perch by the bookshelf, storms in her eyes. Bremen stands and begins to report. The members quiet and listen. all except Celine and Hugo, their gazes lingering on the fiery redhead. As the meeting concludes, Iris sits in silence, arms crossed as the members slowly make their exit, waiting 10 minutes in between groups of 2 or 3. Hugo sits next to her, pretending to read. Finally, the last 2, Celine and Alistair, make their exit.
Iris?
Iris just nods in response. Once the door slams shut, she's up and pacing, rustling about the cellar for a coat and purse.
You all right?
Fine. I need to go out. I won't be performing tonight. Pay the band a little extra to cover for me?
You want me to come with you?
No, I'm fine.
Iris.
Leave me alone, Hugo. I'll see you later.
She barely looks at her old friend as she scampers out to the cellar, into the crisp night air, tension lining every muscle. Iris walks with purpose, past her own bar and deeper into the seedy nightlife district. She stops in front of a dirty tavern. This'll do. A seat at the bar, a stiff drink poured by a familiar bartender. She's settled into her brooding as she lazily surveys the bar for a while. Targets acquired. She signals for another drink, then slinks down the bar to where 2 drunk men are harassing a waitress. One has an arm wrapped around his shoulders, and the other rubs a clearly unwanted hand up and down her thigh. They both are slurring their words loudly and far too close to her face. Iris walks right up to the girl.
Hey, aren't you supposed to be working? I've been waiting on my drink for an hour.
The waitress casts Iris a grateful look and twists away from the men, back behind the bar. The men turn to Iris angrily.
Fuck was that all about?
I thought the 3 of us could have some fun together.
Fun? What do you mean the 3 of us?
Iris leans in close to whisper in his ear. He nearly chokes on his beer, but then unleashes a hungry stare upon Iris's body. She leans in and kisses him.
The fuck?
She turns and kisses the other man, then pulls them both into the back alley.
We've been staring at the letter for hours now, Elisabeth. Take a break.
This is our only night off from training, Vi. We don't have time to fool around.
Elisabeth lay on the carpet, but held the coded message they'd taken from the guardhouse in the woods above her face. Her eyes never left the page.
Well, it doesn't seem like we've made any progress doing what we've been doing so far.
Violet began pacing the living room, bouncing a ball against the ground as she walked.
I'm not just going to give up on Mama, Violet.
I didn't say anything about giving up on Mama.
Violet bounced the ball 3 times in a row, then paused.
It's just, maybe it doesn't mean anything, Elisabeth. Have you thought of that? Maybe there's no code at all and it's a false lead.
She bounces the ball twice more, then continues her pacing and bouncing in the same repetitive pattern. Elisabeth turns her head slowly to look at her sister.
Wait. Do that again.
What? Maybe there's no code at all?
No. Bounce your ball again. In that pattern. That's it. 3 and 2. That's the knock the Impressionists use to enter meetings.
Elisabeth pulls out a fresh sheet of paper and begins to count out the letters.
It's also the way Mama squeezes our hands when she says, I love you always. It never occurred to me that she would have been the one to create that knock.
You think the soldier would have used her own code?
What better insult? If he turned on her, why not reveal her cipher while he was at it?
The scramble of letters wasn't such a scramble after all. She reviewed the list of all the capitalized letters in order and circled every 3rd and then 5th letter she wrote on her new sheet.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Hidden in the portraits.
Let me see. The answer's been right here in this house all along.
The sisters sprint to their mother's art studio and burst through the door. Elisabeth scans the room, lined with art.
Which portrait?
Violet didn't hesitate for a second and walks straight to the portrait that looked like Conrad and flips it over.
I knew it was him.
But the backside of the portrait was bare. No hidden message or anything unusual. Violet begins to rip the canvas lining from the wooden frame.
Violet, what are you doing?
It has to be in here somewhere.
Sure enough, the frame was hollowed out. Just enough that rolled pieces of paper could be tucked inside and then completely hidden by the canvas stretched and stapled over it. A tightly rolled stack of papers fell onto the floor as Violet and Elisabeth looked at one another in awe. Their mother had done all this, had orchestrated all of these secrets and orders, and they'd never been the wiser about it.
Here. Read these first.
The girls pored over the scrolls, all neatly typed, dated and signed in the bottom corner with their mother's signature, M. The letters catalogued every interaction, every conversation, every detail Maria had known about Conrad, or Molehill, as was listed as his operating name. A year ago, Conrad had discovered a Jewish family hidden in one of Mr. Arnold's train cars, nestled in between stacks of dried goods his family's business sold. But remarkably, instead of turning them in, he asked them who had helped them escape. And the very next week, Conrad had visited Mr. Arnold, asking to assist his work. As a transporter only, Mr. Arnold couldn't recruit the boy himself, but he sent word about the young soldier to the Impressionists and told Conrad that if he was deemed valuable, they'd be in touch. Despite insistence from the other members of the Impressionists that it was a trap, that a Nazi soldier could never be trusted, Maria agreed to meet with him. After meeting in a public place and passing the first test, she brought him where all new intelligence recruits started, into her art studio. Every few weeks, he would sit for his portrait, and as Maria painted, he would reveal their schedules and directives his squadron was given. Over the many hours of their game, the young man revealed more about himself. He'd started university to study medicine, to become a doctor for children, before his father had demanded that he join the Nazis on the battlefield. His parents' visions of their family obtaining status in the Reich were greater than their son's insistence that despite his lack of interest, his poor vision and weak heart would ensure he'd never be eligible for a position of glory. He had been right. But by the time his father realised, it was too late, and Conrad was relegated to lower-level patrols around the city, nowhere near the lines of battle. The longer he served the Reich, the more disgusted he became with their initiatives, and himself. As his information proved accurate, Maria would ask him to retrieve specific information to aid in the Impressionist missions, allowing them to create clearer, more consistent maps of safe routes to travel with their contraband. Maria's last update was September 12th, a week before she went missing, and the girls met Conrad in the woods. But not a single one of Maria's notes, save her first entries about the soldier, yielded any concern or warning about him turning on the Impressionists.
He was telling the truth.
What do you mean?
When I was talking to him, to Conrad, he said he never wanted to join the Nazis, that he was forced to.
Looks like he changed his mind about that.
Unless he was found out and forced to turn Mama in?
I don't think so. If he had been discovered working with the rebels, he would have been dead long before we got there. Whatever it was, something went terribly wrong between him and Mama if he wanted to turn her in this way.
It's hard to imagine Nazis swarming our house, ripping through all these portraits. But that's exactly what would have happened if we hadn't stopped him.
We have to show this to Fritz.
Definitely. It could be our way in with the Impressionists.
The next morning, Detective Wagner crouches in the alley next to the two dead bodies, both soldiers. He takes a handkerchief from his pocket to avoid touching one of the mangled bodies directly. He crinkles his nose as he turns the dead man's face towards him, while Muller puffs at his cigarette.
Well, Wagner, what do we have?
These look quite, intentional, Inspector. Not at all like the one we saw a few blocks down.
Intentional, you say?
See, here? It looks like they were stabbed repeatedly. But then, even after they were likely already dead, their heads were smashed in. I'm assuming by this brick here.
He points to a blood-soaked brick lying a few feet away from the carnage.
Excellent observations, Wagner.
I have a bad feeling about this, Inspector. This feels like the work of someone with a vendetta.
Report the two cases as unrelated, then.
Could it possibly be...
Americans don't be ridiculous, Wagner.
You agree that they warrant deeper investigation, though, sir?
Of course. I think it's high time you were given the honor of additional responsibility, Wagner. You follow up on the one on Bach. I'll look into this.
Are you sure you don't need my support, sir?
I might be getting older, Wagner, but I still know how to do police work.
Of course, sir. Of course.
Muller drops the cigarette and grounds it into the dirt as he pulls out his notebook. The tally on the page titled Rats now contains 20 hash marks. He adds 2 more. Fritz and Violet play a game of chess by the fire in the Fishers' cosy living room. Elisabeth pads in from the kitchen.
dishes are done. Can we... Shh. Excuse me?
Hold on a minute. I need to destroy our darling cousin.
Elisabeth rolls her eyes, but obliges as Violet smugly moves her knight across the chessboard.
Checkmate.
Well played, you. 2-0. Again.
I'll go easy on you next time.
Don't you dare.
As I was saying, can we please hear about the update you wish to share with us, Fritzie?
Fritz glances out the window. The neighbouring houses' lights are dimmed.
Seems like the neighbours have bored of our chess match. So yes, let's close those drapes, shall we?
Violet leaps to her feet and draws the curtains.
All right, out with it.
I won't beat around the bush here, girls. I believe your mother is still alive, but I think she may be in danger.
Elisabeth grabs Violet's hand tightly.
Her organisation, they've made it very clear that she's unavailable, but they won't leak any information about the mission she was sent on or her status. A contact of mine thinks it's because the mission went wrong, and she's in enemy hands.
The girls look at one another with wide eyes, the letters they found in the book burning in their memories.
She needs help. What can we do?
I plan to investigate myself, under the guise of bringing the gospel to the countryside.
You can't go by yourself. It's too dangerous.
I don't plan to do anything drastic. Just gather information. Find her. When I have proof and a plan, I think I can come back and rally the support of the resistance to get her out.
Let us come with you. We can help.
I admire your bravery, little one. But it would be more suspicious for a priest to be travelling with 2 young girls. I can move quickly and gain access more easily if I go alone.
But Fritz, we can...
It's decided. I plan to leave in 2 days' time. If I'm not back in 2 weeks, you'll know something has gone wrong. Everything is going to be all right.
All right, Fritz.
Fritz enters his room, tired after a long day's work. He sets down his satchel and places his Bible on the desk. A droplet falls on the cover of the book. He looks up slowly and gasps at what's been left for him. Written on the wall of his room, above the desk, is the slogan, "I know your secret." Rivers of red liquid stream from the crudely drawn letters down the wall. Fritz prayed that it was red ink, even as the truth pounded in the back of his mind. He takes a tentative step forward and smears the liquid between his fingers. Blood. Fritz glances around his room frantically, as if the perpetrator might magically appear. But he was just as alone as when he had arrived. His thoughts immediately went to Karl, and his stomach plummeted. Fritz forgot to breathe as he rushed down the hall and flung open the door to Karl's room. But Karl was sound asleep and entirely unharmed. Fritz barely made it back to his own bed before dissolving into sobs. Iris sits over a small stream on a stone walking bridge. She sips from a flask and is visibly distraught. A man in civilian clothes approaches and she immediately adjusts her posture and face to something more attractive. The man walks by without even glancing at her. She reaches down and grabs a small rock and throws it at him, hitting him in the back. He spins on his heel to face her.
Good day, Fräulein. Did you see who threw this rock at me?
Yeah. She playfully raises her hand, smiling at him with battered lashes. The man catches a glimpse of her flask.
Bad day?
Not sure what a good day would even look like. She offers him a swig. He offers her his hand in return before taking a drink.
How about I show you?
Iris grins. The next thing she knows, they're kissing passionately in a nearby alley. Iris lowers herself to her knees, unbuckling the man's belt and buttons on his pants. He leans against the alley wall with his face towards the sky as she takes him in her mouth. As she works, Iris pulls a small knife from her pocket and hovers the blade dangerously close to the artery in the man's thigh. The nearer the man barrels towards release, the more excited Iris feels herself, only moments away from exterminating another rat. But right before she pushes the knife in, she sees the man's wallet, open on the ground, revealing a photograph of the man with 2 small girls. She pushes herself away from the man and stumbles to her feet, torn between the overwhelming desire to kill and the impulse to run away. The knife is hot in her hands. She suddenly lunges at the man and screams into his face. She's only inches away, but refuses to touch him. She spins blindly to walk away from the man, but runs directly into Inspector Müller. Before she can speak, she's knocked unconscious. Minutes, or is it hours later, Iris blinks up at the stars as she comes to. Her head pounds and her hands are cuffed. She groans and rolls to her side, slowly attempting to get up.
You should consider yourself lucky she's been escaped from the asylum for 3 days.
The man is fully clothed again and in shock. Müller reaches down and picks up the wallet and makes a show of noticing the photograph of the girls.
A report may make things uncomfortable for you.
Yes, no. No report, please, Inspector.
As you wish. No report.
Thank you.
The inspector snaps the wallet shut and hands it back to the man. He casts one last incredulous look towards Iris, then bolts from the alley. Müller locks eyes with Iris and hoists her to her feet.
We need to talk.
Müller pulls Iris into a brisk walk down the alley, creating distance between them and the almost crime scene.
What the fuck was that?
You should have stayed out of it.
You're lucky I happened to be there. If I hadn't, you'd be done for.
Relax, Müller. I was just having a little fun.
No. This has gotten out of hand, Iris. We have rules. And you've been breaking the rules relentlessly for weeks now. I can't keep covering up for you.
What are you talking about?
My people are catching on. I won't keep risking my own neck for you when you so clearly have lost sight of the mission.
Then I'll turn you in. We'll both go down. He pins her to the wall, a fire Iris has never seen before blazing in his eyes.
No, you won't. You pretend like you're not afraid to die, but we both know that's a lie. And the only thing worse than death is being kept in a cell where you can't get your fix of blood and vengeance. And believe you me, if you try to take me down with you, I'll make sure that's where you end up. Go home, Iris. No more kills. No fucking around. I have to clean up this goddamn mess, and then I will contact you. Understand?
Iris just glares at him stonily. He pulls his coat tightly around him and walks away. Think you have what it takes to decipher the coded letter? Visit our website's evidence section for clues to help you follow along with the mystery. Wicked Dames is an independent, self-funded production. If you enjoyed the show and would like to support our cast and crew, we invite you to donate the amount of your choice on our website at alisonhaselden.com/wicked-dames. This show contains explicit content and may not be suitable for all listeners. A list of all content warnings is included in the show notes of each episode for your reference.